Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today I'm going to be talking about my unpopular opinions about black sitcoms. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, La Vida Rosa Style, where you can find cute accessories like the ones I'm wearing right now. Like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Okay, you guys. So this is a little bit random. I wrote down some unpopular opinions that I had a while ago, and then I added some to the list. I'm like, let me go ahead and knock this video out. I'm really not quite sure how unpopular these opinions are. I just know sometimes when I say things like this, people get offended and mad. Like, go check out my Moesha rant video. People was really upset about how I felt about Moesha. I guess that'll be my first unpopular opinion. If you really want me to go in full detail, watch the video. But in short, Moesha was really annoying, entitled, nosy, got in everybody else's business. Like, a lot of people are like, well, of course, now that you're older, she gets on your nerves. No, she got on my nerves when I was a child because she reminded me of somebody that acted just like her. So I didn't like Moesha back then. I like everybody else on the show, but I feel like Moesha is clearly the antagonist. I don't know if they wrote her like that on purpose, but she's the antagonist of the show, and she got on my last nerve. Okay, my next unpopular opinion is kind of rude, but follow me. I did not understand why when Steve Urkel turned into Stefan Urkel, everybody lost their mind. Like, oh, he's so fine, he's so fine. Like that first scene when he came in that suit and he did his little dance and turned around and like dipped Laura down. I was just like, why is everybody losing their mind over this guy? I do not see like all the suaveness. It really just looked like someone pretending to be attractive to me. It never clicked for me. Even as a kid, I was just like, I never got it. Mind you, Jaleel White, who plays Steve Urkel today, then glowed up. So I ain't talking about that. Now I'm talking about back then. Now, that's why I feel comfortable enough to say that now, because he look good now. Back then, no, I was just like, what's the big deal? My next unpopular opinion, Laura did not deserve Stefan Urkel or Steve Urkel. She did not deserve either one. First of all, if you can't accept me at my worst, you should not be able to have me at my best, okay? And that's why I don't think she deserves Stefan Urkel, because at every turn she would take to insult Steve, she would tear him down. And yes, Steve was annoying. Yes, he was. I'm sure a lot of us would treat him that exact way. But does that mean you get to have the better version of him? No. I think Stefan should have treated Laura the way she treated Steve. Personally, I feel like that would have made a little bit more sense, because why would you want someone who constantly does your double wrong? And I don't think she deserves Steve, because at the end of the series, if y'all didn't watch it, because the end of the series was a little bit wacky. At the end of the series, first of all, it's not realistic that Steve would even get Laura. Let's just be real. That would not really happen unless he just became a millionaire out of nowhere. Then all of a sudden she'd be trying to cuddle up to him. So they ended up together, and I just don't think she even deserved him, because after all these years, it reminded me of the Parkers when Nikki ended up with the professor after all these years of him, you know, like being awful to her. And she like settled for the professor, even though she had a man that really loved him. Steve had Myra, but he settled for Laura because he'd been wanting her all these years. She did not deserve him. Now, he might not have had money in that moment. I feel like if they were to pick up present day, where they left off with Steve Urkel, all of these concoctions, all of these inventions, Steve went to outer space, Steve would be rich. Filthy, stinking rich, okay? He would have all the money that you could ever want, because we live in a society where if you come up with something like that, especially a few inventions, you know Steve would have came up with even more than that. An app, he probably would have just made another Google. We don't even know. And I don't think Laura deserves to enjoy the fruits of his labor. Not after how she did him for all those years. Okay. Another unpopular opinion is I enjoy, even though I love Martin, and Martin is like one of my favorite sitcoms of all time, I enjoy Tisha Campbell Martin's character, Jay, from My Wife and Kids. I enjoy that character more than I enjoy Gina. And I think it's because, for whatever reason, she was funnier on My Wife and Kids to me. The dynamic between her and Damon Wayans was funnier to me. I didn't like the way Gina allowed her man to talk to her friend Pam all the time. I mean, she would get him together sometimes, but it was like a consistent thing. He would constantly go in on her friend, and she didn't really do much about that. Like, you're still with him. Then she had to literally beg Martin to marry her, and he gave literally the worst proposal ever. I don't know. I didn't understand why Gina would put up with Martin. I didn't get it, because Martin was literally the worst. He was a male chauvinist. He didn't respect women at all. And I don't understand, why are you with him? I just didn't get. She was successful, way more successful than he was. Like, she carried him most of the relationship. I just didn't I didn't get why she wanted to be with Martin. And maybe that's why I like Jay more, because she didn't accept that from Michael. Okay, she put her foot down, and you know what I'm saying, she got them kids together. I just respected her, Jay's character, I guess, more as a woman. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But that's my unpopular opinion. I enjoyed Jay way more than I enjoyed Gina. I believe that Blackish is a classic, much like The Cosby Show. I don't think a lot of people feel that way. People don't seem like they're as into it as they were when it first came out. But I watch that show every single week. I love it. It does have its problematic areas, which all shows do. But I like the fact that they keep it humorous, even though they touch on like very serious issues. I mean, they're not afraid to go there a lot of times, even though sometimes it's like, it don't seem like that's enough time, like 20 something minutes to address like some of these serious issues. I just like the fact that they actually do that. That's like what The Cosby Show did. Like, there were so many episodes where like it wasn't funny. They tackled the issues that, you know, kids were facing, adults were facing. They have those teachable moments and morals of the story that is timeless, and generations afterwards will still be able to learn from. And I feel like Blackish does that same thing. Not to mention, they have an all-star cast of amazing actors, from Tracee Ellis Ross to Anthony Anderson to, of course, Jennifer Lawrence and Lawrence Fishburne. And even the kids have a lot of talent. Look at Marsai Martin, even making movies and winning awards. I like the fact that they show Black successful people on the show, and they don't have to struggle. You know what I'm saying? Even if they have struggles in different areas, it's not with, you know, poverty. And I feel like that is like the go-to for some Black shows. And while I'm on that, I guess I'll go ahead and say my next unpopular opinion. I feel like a lot of people are probably gonna be mad at me for this, but I cannot stand Good Times. That show, when it comes on, I have to turn. Like, when I was a little kid, and you know, come on whatever channel they played throwbacks, and my mom would be watching it or somebody else would be watching it, you know, it was just like nothing good ever happened. And if anything good did happen, something bad, terrible happened right after it. And I'm sure that was like the point of the show. It's like an oxymoron. Good times and nothing but bad things happen. But it was hard to watch people, and I understand that was some people's reality. As far as entertainment, I just hate to see Black people downtrodden all the time. Like, they don't really get to have any wins. It's just so depressing. I can't even enjoy it. I turn on a sitcom to escape. You know what I'm saying? To laugh, to have fun. You know, I maybe experience some real moments, but everything just is bringing you down. Like, I've seen enough episodes to understand like references to the show, like Dynamite, and you know, Michael being militant, and you know, that infamous scene with Florida breaking the glass after James died. I get all of that, but watching the show is just, it's hard. So another couple I don't think should have ended up together was Kyle and Max from Living Single. We saw Kyle and Max like go from enemies to being in a relationship, and still having those like major ups and downs, and you know, them giving each other ultimatums and not necessarily knowing how to deal with one another. And I feel like sometimes you just have that one that got away. They're both too stubborn. Neither one of them would have given in, especially Max. Max would have never given in. It would have taken Kyle to give in and like, you know, come after her. And I feel like Kyle and Max should not have ended up together. They were the one that got away for one another. Kyle would have at least ended up marrying someone else before they got back together. Max, she ain't worried about married people. But, you know, Kyle, I think he would have, like, searched for someone like Max, married him, realized it didn't work, and went back to Max. So maybe I'm not so mad that they ended up together. Just the way it happened is not realistic at all for me. This is a hard one for me because I love the show and I just recently binged the whole thing. I actually did a whole rant on this. If you want to see it, I'll link it down below. But I have to be real. The game had some really cringy acting in the beginning. Like the acting and even some of the dialogue, some of the like little catchphrases were cringy. And maybe that's why it just seemed like they couldn't act because of the script. I don't know. But it was kind of cringy to get through the first, I'd say maybe the first 2 or 3 or 4 episodes. It got better as it went along. I feel like the actors got better, but in particular the guy who played Malik and even Derwin, and you know, it just, the acting was just a little off. Joan and William had no business dating each other. That didn't make any sense. It came out of nowhere. I mean, I guess they did kind of build up to it, but I just hate the fact that they had them date because there's already this stigma that, you know, men and women can't be friends without, you know, feeling other things for one another. And I don't think that's necessarily true for every case. And I never really got those vibes between them. They didn't really ever have chemistry. Even when they were together, it just didn't make any sense. They always felt like besties, like even when they were together. Like they had those insider things that they would only do with one another, like performing these songs and creating dance moves. Like they were like kids when they got with one another. So to put them in a relationship, it just, it was so awkward. I hated it. I didn't like it. So another one of my favorite sitcoms of all time was The Fresh Prince. And I feel like Carlton was actually one of the realest characters probably of all time out of all the sitcoms. Carlton was himself no matter what. Even when Will came around and would clown him about, you know, acting white or whatever, he remained himself no matter what, no matter how much, like anybody else probably would have folded eventually. Carlton never did. He's always been his awkward, nerdy self. There was this episode where Will dared him to, like, you know, see how long he would last in the hood. And Carlton was so real that he was able to literally survive. I feel like even though he changed his demeanor, it was something real about Carlton that made the people around him accept him. Carlton would be a snitch sometimes, but there would be times where Will would need Carlton to cover his back, and he did. Like when Will had those drugs in his locker and Carlton took the pills unknowingly, not knowing that those were drugs and they were gonna like make him, you know, high. And he ended up in the hospital and he still didn't tell on Will. How real can, like, the realest. I feel like even Will probably would have told on Carlton instead of having his parents think that he was on drugs. Clearly Carlton had a soft spot for Will, because when Will got shot, Carlton went out and got a gun and was ready to be gangster and fire off on anybody that was trying to, you know, hurt him or his family. And I can't forget the time Carlton got that black frat boy leader all the way together for trying to act like he wasn't black enough to join that fraternity. He loved Tom Jones and he did the his classic dance, and you know what I'm saying, for the most part he wasn't bothering nobody. I have 2 more that have to do with black movies. Maybe I should save that for my unpopular opinion about black movies. Y'all let me know if y'all want my unpopular opinions about black movies. We can do that next. But yeah, you guys, that's it for my video. Those are my unpopular opinions. Y'all let me know your unpopular opinions about black sitcoms down below. I would love to hear what you thought about mine. Did you agree with me? Did you not agree with me? And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.